Hi, how are you? This is Dan at Evolving SEO, and today I wanted to address the topic of the effort versus reward for trying to acquire a particular link from a particular site and how to assess that. So I think a lot of us probably have clients that come to us with a wish list of sites that they would love to get a link from. And they probably think the more links, the better. The more link juice, the more they're going to rank, and then the more they're going to make money. And it doesn't always work that way, of course. So what I want to talk about today is kind of a different way of evaluating links as far as are they worth the effort to acquire that particular link. So I think a lot of clients are probably asking initially, will a link from a particular site cause a penalty to my site? And of course, you want to rule that right off the table to begin with. So we're going to assume that you're going to check a site, make sure it's not spammy, make sure that it doesn't have spammy backlinks pointing to it, and that it will not cause a penalty. But once you're beyond that, you want a great way to evaluate a site to determine if it's worth the effort to acquire that link. And is it not only worth the effort today, but will a link from that site, will effort provide value for years to come for having acquired that link? So here's four kind of indicators that I like to look for when reviewing sites. This process really only takes a good 5 or 10 minutes per site. It's a little bit manual, but I think it's highly worth the 5 or 10 minutes to kind of dive right in and look at these things manually. So reason number one that I like to look for is, or characteristic number one, should I say, is, I guess it doesn't matter if I say reason or characteristic, but you want to try to assess if the site or the domain is a strong brand, not only in the eyes of Google, but in the eyes of people. And I have a few suggestions for how to do that. So the first thing to do, of course, is go to Google, type in the domain name, type in the site name, type in the brand name, and see what shows up in the first page for their brand. Of course, if they have some sort of exact match domain or partial match domain, you might have to include the .com at the end to get a branded result. But see what happens. And a good brand in the eyes of Google is going to have site links. They're going to have a knowledge box there, which is obviously right over there. And it's obviously, I need to bend down to indicate that. They're obviously going to have maybe social profile links below that. Also, as you're typing in the brand name, you should see other search suggestions off of their brand name, maybe reviews, maybe directions, maybe contact info, maybe people looking for their Twitter profile. You should see those brand indications in Google. A great way, one last thing is, in the last, not quite a year, but in the last, I think, 8 or 9 months, Google has been showing next to the URL for sites that they determine are a brand, there's a little drop down with a short description of that brand, and they reference Wikipedia and DMOZ and so forth. And if a site is showing that, you can definitely believe Google is seeing that site as a brand. This is important to determine that Google is seeing the site like that, because as we know, in 2015, Google is definitely valuing these brand signals as a form of trust and authority when they're determining their rankings. So for people, what I like to do to see if people are considering the site a brand, one thing is go to Open Site Explorer, go to their anchor text report, and see how people are linking to this website. And certain brand things you want to look for are what I call prop words. These are let me try to say that word, proprietary keywords that only this site has associated with it. So if you're Staples, you have the easy button. If you're Moz, you have probably Whiteboard Friday. I can't think of any other companies that are doing Whiteboard Friday to such degree. If you're Basecamp, formerly 37 Signals, you have Signal versus Noise, which is the name of their blog publication. So look for evidence of these types of prop words. Another big one is names. Rand Fishkin from Moz, or Jason Fried from 37 Signals, now Basecamp. Look for people linking with names, with prop words, with these unique things that really indicate that a brand has been built online. And the last thing you should absolutely do to determine if the site is perceived as a brand, not only by people but Google as well, is just to see if they have brand search volume. Not only for their brand name, but for their domain name. For their domain name and then other words that people add after it. And of course for prop words as well. So second thing to look for is, will this site send me relevant traffic? Now I don't want to just say traffic, because I think we're a little beyond that now. You know, for a little while SEOs have kind of said, link is really only valuable if it sends you referral traffic. Well, I think it's really worth the effort now if you can determine that that link will send relevant referral traffic to your site. So one way that I like to determine this is go to SEM Rush. For free, you get limited data. I've got one of the paid subscriptions, which gives more data. And see, enter the URL of your target site into SEM Rush and look at your organic keyword report. See what the site is ranking for organically, for their organic keywords. And if they're ranking for phrases and topics that you would love to be visible for yourself, but maybe you're not quite ranking there yet, or you're having a hard time getting there, but you can be visible on a site that is ranking there, they're likely to send you possible relevant referral traffic. Of course, you want to consider what would be the context of the link that you might acquire on this particular site. And that's kind of a whole other topic. But see how this site is getting their organic traffic. And then if they are visible, is it high volume? What pages are ranking for them? Maybe a page that's ranking for them for a key phrase that you would like is a good target page for you. So the other thing you can do is look at their backlink profile, but not with the link hat on, not with that mindset, with the mindset of what referral traffic are they getting? Where is their referral traffic coming from? Who has mentioned them? And look at the context of where their links come from. What's the volume of their links? What's the size and scope and volume of where they're being linked from? You're just trying to determine how much maybe referral traffic they're getting. It's just back in the napkin, but it will give you an idea of maybe the volume and scope of their site and if they're likely to send you traffic. You can also look at their social media accounts, of course, too, and see if they have a good following, a good audience that might potentially send them traffic as well. The third thing to look for is the possibility of future relevant traffic. So a lot of people don't think about this. And the web, of course, is not static. As we like to say here, it's evolving here at Evolving SEO. And this means that the website you're looking at today, it could change a lot in the next year, in the next 2 years, in the next 5 years. Maybe this is a new site that just hasn't built itself up yet. Maybe if you reach out to this site and acquire a link, acquire a reference, maybe in the future you're going to be you would have been one of the first people on this site, and in the future you can grow with them. And so a great way to determine this, I think, is looking at their very top of the funnel or their audience building channels like social media, email list, podcast if they have one. Try to gauge if this is a young site, if they are out there building an audience somewhere. Do they have a lot of Facebook fans? Are they building a following on Instagram? Are they starting a podcast? Do they have an email list on their site? Does it say how many people are subscribed? Look for indications that this site is really putting in the effort to build an audience, and you can be sure that if they don't have a lot of traffic now, if they continue, they will have traffic in the future. You can also double check their history by entering their domain into SEM Rush and seeing their organic and paid traffic history. Bear in mind that SEM Rush, as with all third-party data, take it with a grain of salt, of course, but it can give you a good indication. I would also look at the website itself to determine if they're going to grow in traffic volume, because you can get a sense from their design. How are they interacting with the community on their website? Are they engaging with their comments? Have they gone through the effort to develop what looks like good user experience? Is the design and branding, how is the overall flow of the site? Does it look like a company that really cares about their users? And if so, they're likely to be growing their audience in the future. So the last and the fourth thing that you want to look for is, could establishing an initial link with this site be actually the gateway to building a relationship that's going to bring future value? So in other words, don't think of it like, oh, I want to get a link, so I'm going to contact them. Think of the ask for the link as the excuse to reach out and contact them and start a relationship. And keep that in mind. So this is not about the first interaction and getting that link. It's actually, you're thinking of it almost like, it's not like you don't want the link, but you almost don't care because you're doing it as an excuse to start a relationship with them. And so that could be a great reason why you should consider a site for earning a link on it. So you can reach out and you can bear in mind that maybe you're going to just try to develop a relationship over the long haul that'll be mutually beneficial for both of you. So I hope some of these things help. This is just kind of my process. There's a lot of other things that I do, but that's just kind of something I could fit into a almost 10-minute, a little longer than 10-minute video. And like I said, you can run this check in like 5 or 10 minutes on a site on your own. And then you can go back to your client and give them the reasons why or why not it's worth the effort or not worth the effort to try to acquire a certain link. So leave any questions you might have for me in the comments, and I will see you whenever I do a video again. Thanks.